He knows no work rate. He knows pharmaceuticals. John Strongman throws chairs. Welcome, everybody, to Slammin' Stand number 25. I am Vandal Drummond with Alfredo Esparza, and I have just presented my third John Strongman haiku. This is the most inspiring literary contribution I have ever made so far. Maybe that's sad, but it's true. Actually, it's not sad. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Nothing pathetic about it. Never apologize for your art. I'm an artist. I might be a terrible artist, but I'm a terribly beautiful artist. Alfredo, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, you could actually write a book now with the Strongman haikus.
I think so. I finally found my calling. This is fabulous. Actually, I'm not a terrible artist. I'm a wonderful artist. It's just nobody has recognized it yet.
Right there, you already have 3 pages worth of content for your new book.
That's right, and I feel extremely revved up. I am wearing my San Francisco Giants Lince Comes T-shirt.
You're not wearing your Kurt Russellmania T-shirt? Come on.
No, I will wear my Kurt Russellmania T-shirt when we do our next show. But I know baseball season is upon us, and when we were looking back on 2009 last week and all the epiphanies we had, all the inspirations, I totally forgot to mention Lince Combs, the greatest baseball player to win the Cy Young Award ever, the greatest sparker of the owl, Tim Lince Combs.
It sounds really nasty when you say it.
Yeah, but
it's really nasty when you say it for some odd reason.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's just fancy. I mean, Tim Lince Combs.
Yeah, you're an American, man. Your English should be perfect.
I am. I just think I'm adding a whole new phenomenon to his name. I didn't even pronounce phenomenon right.
Yeah. Speaking of not pronouncing properly, we went to the WrestleReunion convention. where there's many people who can't pronounce a lot of different names.
This is true. Oh, man, was that a great time or what?
Yeah, I mean, at least we didn't go as early as you were originally planning on going.
I was originally planning on making it there around noon. What time did we arrive there?
I thought you meant morning, like crashing the breakfast and stuff.
Oh, no, morning. Rising at the crack of dawn is a sin, man. I am totally a domestic house cat.
Did we get there like by 1 or 2?
I think it was around 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we were there late.
And we arrived around the same time Fizzy did, our old friend and my awesome nemesis, Physico Nuclear. And we joined our friends Dan and Mary Lou Farron and our good friend Ryan Doyle, who we have not seen for quite some time. And that was the first time you two met, right?
Yeah, that's the first time we've met.
Ryan Doyle, a totally awesome guy. It was really good, just getting reacquainted again. What I enjoyed most is how we kind of just made the rounds, downstairs in the convention room, gawked at several of the wrestlers, and then spent most of the time up in the cafe just shooting the bull. That was a blast.
I think we were in the convention for about less than an hour probably.
Yes, I think so. And actually a good portion of that hour was just chatting it up with Jeff and Scott Walton, Dan Severn. Dan Severn actually snuck up on me and put the rear naked choke on me, which makes my friend Letitia very jealous.
Did you tell her you found him to be very was a handsome young man?
Yes. What is his deal with the devil he has? He has youthful good looks. He must be in his 50s now, and he does not look his age.
Yeah, he actually looks better than he did when he was younger for some reason.
Totally. He looks he does. He looks in even better shape. He still has that identical 1970s hairdo and mustache. Maybe that's the deal he has with Mephistopheles, that, he'll have this very youthful face, youthful physique, as long as he has the haircut and the mustache.
He should be like in movies right now. I mean, he's got that rugged look to him. You would think he'd be like in a movie or something.
Now, don't follow his career closely, but it seems whenever I hear his name, it's usually tagged with doing seminars, which maybe is the smart move.
And I just noticed that earlier today on the Observer site. He's doing a seminar.
Which I think is a smart move. Get your fights out of the way, get the broken bones, get the bashed-in face out of the way, and then do seminars. I mean, some of these people try to hang on for as long as they can inside the octagon, ditto inside the wrestling rings, but I don't know, if you can make better money or equal amounts of money doing seminars and, opening a school, power to you.
I noticed you didn't get overly excited over anybody at the convention for some odd reason. I was expecting you to be like a kid in a candy store,
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Probably 20 years ago I would have been.
Yeah.
But let me think.
Well, there really wasn't anybody there that you would actually be, except for Frankie maybe, and I didn't see him there.
Except for who?
Frankie. Coco Beware, Frankie.
Oh, yes.
Was the bird there anyways?
I don't remember seeing the bird. In fact, I don't remember seeing... I knew Coco was there, but I don't remember seeing him.
I saw Coco Beware while you were talking to Ricky Talking.
Okay. See, that was my biggest moment was when I was talking to Ricky Itaki, greatest wrestler from the Isle of Malta ever, and he had mentioned that Jack Armstrong was there the day before. I was so bummed because Jack Armstrong is one of the nicest people I have ever met in the biz, and I haven't seen him in probably 7 years or so.
Wow.
So would have really liked to have seen him. Ryan Doyle and I were probably the only two people in that entire room who were jazzed to get to meet Rock Riddle.
and we're not kidding when we say that,
Yes, we're not. We're not at all.
Rock Riddle, I didn't know who he was. I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah, I bet you half the room probably looked at Rock Riddle, this guy with bleached blonde hair, a carotene suntan, a purple suit, and we're saying, hey, who's this guy who's dressed like a pro wrestler?
Yeah, I mean, the whole time, I didn't even know that was Armando Guerrero until I saw him turn around. I was like, who's that old guy right there?
Yeah, you have to do a double take now with him.
Yeah, and Chavo looked really bad, too. Like, he just looked
Chavo, it's funny because Dan and I were both saying Chavo was kind of like, looking half asleep, just kind of like, ready to split. Well, Dan brought up Ernie Ladd, and Chavo's eyes just lit up, and he was just talking about what a great worker Ladd was, and how he was his mentor, and it's a story I had heard before, but there was something. I mean, Chavo actually came alive when he mentioned Ernie Ladd.
And then you saw him go back into his.
That's right. Go back into
his seat, all depressed after that little.
His half slumber, yes.
It's like, we have no more. Well, I actually didn't have anything to talk to them about because every time I see them, I remember Eddie Guerrero, and it's like I don't want to bring that up,
Yeah, and that must. I would assume that would probably be pretty.
That'd be kind of hard for them.
Pretty painful if people keep bringing up your brother who is no longer with us.
The only guy who got a long line early on was Bret Hart.
That's true. Well, wasn't there a line for photographs?
Yeah, for Bret Hart. That was pretty much it. Yeah, afterwards it was the photographs, but that was like with
That was like with Sonny and
Marlene, and then there was other
yes,
people.
Yes.
Yeah, but early on it was basically Bret Hart was the only one getting the.
He had quite a line there. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else was there. Rikishi was there.
Yeah, Orlando Jordan, who nobody.
Orlando Jordan.
He could have walked right next to him. You would have noticed who he was. For some reason, I had no idea who he was. I was like, who the hell is that guy? I
got it. You know how much wrestling I've watched in the last couple of years. It took me a while saying, wait, I've seen that face. I've seen that face. Yeah. Who is that?
Because I think Dan told me it was Orlando. Orlando Jordan's over there. I think he said something about. He said a joke about Orlando Jordan. I was like, who the hell? Oh, yeah, there he is. I was like, oh, okay. Gangrel was there.
Yeah, Gangrel. He was very recognizable.
Yeah, with teeth and
with his fangs.
Yeah. Daphne was there.
Eric Caden from Hollywood Book and Poster was there.
I'm like, Daphne's there, and you were like, oh, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I've seen her before. Well, I think Fizzy put it best. how we didn't mark out for anybody. However, if Dump Matsumoto and Bull Nakano were to walk through those doors, Fizzy and I would have been kowtowing and, making the biggest fools out of ourselves, throwing money at them just for pictures.
Yeah.
So I can't cast a dirty eye upon anybody for marking out, because I would have gladly marked out for Bull or Dump, either of them.
It was expensive too. The photos were all expensive. All that stuff, $40 for.
Yeah.
Take a picture with Sunny.
That gets costly.
I thought it was funny. I didn't understand what Dan was talking about when he was talking about how you could get your picture taken with Sunny for $40, or with Sunny and Marlena for $40, the same price. And he was saying how everybody was like choosing one or the other, when you could just pick both. And I was like,
I didn't know that. That's bizarre.
Yeah, at first I thought, you could take a separate picture with each one of them. But then I saw the photos they put on the tables. Like, okay, now I get it.
The thing that kept going through my mind through that entire day.
The guy with the hammer.
What's that?
The guy with the hammer.
Oh yeah.
That one fan.
Well, yeah, that was going through my head. What was the trip with that fan who was walking around with a giant hammer? It was like a prop of some kind, but I never.
Was he taking pictures with it? I mean,
yeah, he's taking pictures with it. I think he had his picture taken with Chris Hero holding the hammer.
Yeah, that's the only time I saw him. A wrestler actually holding the hammer.
Yeah, maybe he's just some guy who wanted people talking about him, so he decided, I'll come to a wrestling convention with a gigantic hammer in my hand, and instead of hammering it in the morning, I'll hammer it in the evening all over this land.
You know what's going to happen? We're going to find Photoshop Chris Hero pictures throughout the internet with him and the hammer.
With the hammer.
Yeah.
I am curious. I am curious behind the story of the man with the hammer.
Plus, he had suspenders and stuff. Didn't he have suspenders and all that?
He looked almost like he was trying to create a character.
Like he was a redneck or something.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he just wanted people talking about him.
Yeah.
That's my first hunch anyway. Now, the thing that kept going through my mind throughout
that wasn't it?
No, that wasn't it.
Oh,
Believe it or not. You got to remember, I've been going to wrestling matches since 1973.
And this wasn't as insane as some of the other stuff.
I've seen trippier. I will never forget when I went to the WFIA convention in Georgia. At the TV tapings and at the Omni, this vision just has never left my head. This skinny, gangly fan shows up with a giant scrapbook with autographs, and in his hand he held an American flag.
Uh-huh.
And when he arrived at the arena, he took the American flag, stuck it down the back of his shirt so that it was waving above his head like he was a human flagpole, and was walking around with his autograph book, just giving everybody really strange looks.
Oh,
and this was one guy I can guarantee was not doing it so that people would talk about him. I do not know what this man was thinking, and I didn't want to get inside his mind. I wasn't even curious. I was just fascinated. See, I'm speechless. 30 years later, I'm speechless.
So what was it that you found to be strange? What were you?
Well, I guess strange isn't the right word, but this was one of the more successful conventions. We've heard of successful fan conventions and disastrous ones like the famous San Francisco Cow Palace convention 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a disaster in monumental proportions. This looked like it went over pretty well. A lot of people showed up, people taking pictures, but still, I was trying to figure how they turned $1 on this one. I was going through my mind trying to think, how much are people spending here, and still, how much are they profiting after flying all the wrestlers in, renting the venue?
I know.
Even with a good.
It was a nice place too.
Yeah, it was a really nice place, Hilton at LAX. And the wrestling show was standing room only, but I'm still trying to figure how they turned $1 unless they had some really bitchin' sponsorship.
Well, they had high spots.
Mm-hmm. This is very true.
You're like, okay. You're not impressed.
Yeah, that's why when I brought my Kurt WrestleMania T-shirt.
Well, everything was like DVDs were pretty affordable, but like everything else was a little bit more expensive.
This is true. I mean, I've
like photos, like I said, the photos. I mean, you're gonna take. I'm guessing the promos were expensive too. I don't know how much that cost.
And that was on the last day of the convention when they did the promos, and we were only there for the Saturday portion.
Yeah.
I'm really curious how all that went over and what kind of a crowd they had on Sunday, because remember toward the end of the day they're really trying to urge the fans to come back the next day, and
you haven't seen
they're trying to pump.
If you go on their website, WrestleReunion.com, they have a section where they're talking about what happened at the. They have different like people who went to the reporters that went to the show. They actually have stuff written on there.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
They have links to the like stories and stuff. Like there's a guy from I think Slam that went to the convention, and he talked about the 3 I think it was the 3 days.
I'm sorry?
He talked about
speak
the 3
up
days.
A bit, Fredo. My
what
ears
happened?
are getting old.
No, there's something going on with Blog Talk Radio.
That's right.
No, I'm serious.
They're trying to deafen us.
The whole switchboard's gone. I'm serious.
Okay, now I can hear you.
No, the switchboard's gone.
Can you hear me now?
That's so funny.
This is too much, man.
Okay, are you on?
I'm on.
Okay. No, the switchboard just went off all of a sudden.
Oh, how funny. Didn't that happen last time we were on the air?
I don't know, but right now it went black. It just went all black.
Oh, that's a trip.
You saw the switchboard. Remember, there's like 3 different things. It just went black.
How funny. I guess we'll know if this is airing in about, an hour or so.
It was on 48 minutes for like 3 minutes right now.
Oh, too funny.
And I should have brought this up when Ryan was telling me about speaking up louder. I should have mentioned Blog Talk Radio tends to screw up a lot too. But there's some technical stuff that I can't really figure out.
Yeah, I know, and I'd love to take the time to figure it out, but I usually drive myself crazy when I'm trying to figure out anything technical, anything computer-related, anything audio-related. There's a reason I do not have a career in communications, just as there are many reasons I don't have a career in professional wrestling, which is probably a good thing. Which speaking of careers in pro wrestling, I was curious.
We got to talk about PWG now.
What's that?
The PWG show.
Yes, the PWG show. Like I said, I was very proud to buy a Kurt WrestleMania T-shirt because, these guys work hard at pushing their product. They work hard at promoting these shows in Southern California, and they deserve every dollar coming to them. And again, just like the conventions, I don't know if they turn a profit or not, but they're working hard and they deserve their money.
And it was a good show too. So
yeah, very enjoyable.
They had to have spent a ton of money on Liger, Muta, and all those.
Yes, I so enjoyed seeing Muta in action.
Yeah,
I know some of the hardcore smarks were not into it and was hoping he'd do a lot more, but for the love of God, you could tell how much that guy was hurting, how much physical pain that guy's in.
He could barely walk, man.
Yes, and his bumps were uncomfortable, too.
Yeah. I mean, he just looked like he was in pain the whole time. It was like, okay, man, time to call it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was so jazzed just to get to see him spit the mist. 20 years ago, I was jazzed seeing him doing all the moonsaults and all his really cool moves. Now I am just so glad he still has a career. I'm so glad he can spit the mist. I kept looking at him saying, even just standing there, he has more charisma than most of the wrestlers on the show.
Yeah. I thought the guy he brought with him was really good, too. Kai. He did pretty good.
Kai, I keep forgetting his name. I liked him, too, yes.
Yeah, he worked IWRG, so he's a little
In fact, what was the highlight of the show for you?
for me, it was the Liger Generico match.
That was an awesome match.
That match, well, since we were sitting way in the back, you can't really see a lot. So
a lot of the mat wrestling you could not see.
Yeah, you couldn't see any of the mat wrestling, basically. So you just had to go on what the fans were reacting to. But I mean,
yeah, that's the most difficult thing when you go to most indie shows. Is all the seating is very level.
Yeah,
it's rare you go to a place that has something like bleachers or stadium seating. So if guys do any fighting outside of the ring or any mat work, you've got to be up in front or not there at all.
Yeah, I mean, because I wasn't going to stand on my seat. Well, we could have done that too. We were sitting next to the wall. So
That's right. We were way back there.
I mean, we wouldn't have bothered anybody if we stood on the seats. But I wouldn't have thought to do that, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think Mary Lou Farron deserves an extra special shout out for enduring the convention for the entire day and the show itself.
She was there since like 9 in the morning or something.
Yeah, she and Dan got up there bright and early, and they have a brand new cat named Baxter, who she would have much rather been at home just hanging out with. And seeing that Dan is the wrestling fanatic of the two, and she has a mild interest, got to give it to her for hanging in the whole time. She and I were probably the only two people there who wished that instead of J.J. Dillon and Sonny, that they would have Hornswoggle and Aluche.
J.J. Dillon had nobody. Did you see he had nobody? Why did they fly him in? Did they fly him in, or is he from L.A.?
I assume they flew him in, and I was actually a little shocked to see there weren't that many people coming around to see him. I mean,
well, you know what? I think they probably brought him in because for the breakfast. I think they because they talk and stuff. They have like little segments where they talk to the fans. I think that's probably why they brought him in.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever I see these stars, that I've admired for years, most of the time I don't even know what to say to them.
I know, seriously. What are you going to hey, I remember that one time you were with
yes,
Fully
and they've heard people say that 100 times before, and I guess that's why I don't go out to most of them, because I'm sure Roddy Piper hears it as he falls asleep these days. Hey, remember the time when you hit Snuka with a coconut?
I know, seriously. he already has the what he's going to respond, whatever his answer is going to be. He's already got it written down. And
yeah, exactly. Carries the tape recorder with him and just plays the response for them.
So I'm not the type of person who's just going to go up to somebody and start talking to them either. It seems really awkward.
Exactly. Well, that's the other cute Mary Lou Farron story I'll never forget. Is I remember years ago when I first knew Dan, he was telling me when the WWF wrestlers would all go to the Hilton by the sports arena afterwards and just hang at the bar. He says everybody be going up to all the wrestlers and asking them wrestling-related questions, and they were usually really polite but wouldn't say much.
Uh-huh.
And I guess he went up to Demolition and asked them a few wrestling-related questions, and again, they politely responded and went back to drinking their beer. And then he says he's off with his friends, and he looks over and he sees Mary Lou sitting down just chatting it up with him. And they're talking for like a half hour or so, and then Mary Lou gets up and Dan says, how did you get their attention? What were you talking about? Says, I heard one of them saying how much they hate the taste of Diet Coke, and I told them try squeezing a little lime into it. It's much tastier. And we got talking about, soft drinks and, health food and all this kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that makes total sense. They probably want to talk about anything but wrestling when they're out, drinking, they want to carouse and drink and have fun.
Yeah, I figured like when they mentioned Diamond Dallas Page, I figured he wanted to talk about his that thing he does now, that yoga or whatever.
The yoga for men.
Yeah, I figured he's probably talking about that stuff instead of wrestling.
Probably. I mean, that's kind of his money these days, which actually I think that's a very cool idea. A cool selling point is.
Kurt, we have to talk about the low light.
The what?
PWG, the worst thing we saw at the PWG show.
Oh, you mean the thing that we saw over and over and over again?
Yeah, the RVD song.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Are we the only people in the world who never want to hear that song again?
I think there's a lot of people who were there who don't want to hear that song again.
In fact, was it you who were saying that even all the rabid RVD fans were tired of the song?
Well, I saw a couple of, like, the wrestling people talking about, like, Dave Marquez and some other guy. They're like, how about that song? I just named him. He's gonna get all pissed and everything.
I would love to have been in the room when they thought up the lyrics.
You know, you know what they should have done? Like, they should have just named every wrestling hold he does. Like, RVD, the whole fucking show. And split-legged moonsault. Van Daminator. Chair shot to the head. Oh, chair shot to the head. Send it over to Brian Alvarez.
Damn, maybe I should start doing Rob Van Dam haiku, send him the lyrics, and suggest that he write a new song consisting of nothing but the haiku.
You should do an RVD haiku, but, you know, you got to do the part where it's RVD, the whole effing show. And
Let's see, the whole fucking show. You know what, that works because the whole fucking show is 5 syllables, so
yeah,
it's so haiku material.
You do that, then you do the words, and then the next one you do you just split it up, and if he wants the whole thing, you put it all together. It's a song.
I like that. Now, if I could just make the name Rob Van Dam into 7 syllables somehow. God Van Dam, Rob Van Dam.
What about his full name, Rob Zakowski, or whatever his real name is? What's his real name? It's really long. Isn't his last name really long?
I don't even know what his real name is.
Yeah. You know Dave Meltzer. How hard can it be to ask to know Rob Van Dam's name?
Let's see. Well, since I know Dave Meltzer, I'll be as creative as old school wrestlers in passing down a phenomenal name, and I'll just start calling Rob Van Dam Rob Meltzer. Kind of like how Carl Gotch took Frank Gotch's name. You know, really creative there. So he's Rob Meltzer from now on. That's Rob Van Dam's real name, everybody. Rob Meltzer.
You can ask Dave Meltzer what his name is. Actually, we could probably ask our next caller.
Who is our caller?
I don't know. Let's see if Blog Talk Radio works. Oh, he's on now.
Yes.
I hear the laugh of the Bixie Demon. David Bixenspan, how are you?
Good. So I had not been listening. So what was this about Rob Van Dam?
We want to know his last name.
Zakowski.
Yeah, Zakowski.
Oh, okay. Robert Zakowski Meltzer.
No, you don't need
this is his real name from now on.
Why, did they get married?
No, I couldn't remember his last name, so I was telling Fredo the way, Carl Istoff couldn't, think up anything original. He just became Carl Gotch.
Well, wasn't he Carl Krauser first?
Oh, was he really?
I think so.
Okay, Robert Krauser Meltzer.
There you go.
Is Rob Van Dam's real name. It's still not 7 syllables, so I can't make haiku out of his name yet. But I'm getting there. It's getting close. Robert Klauser Meltzer. Just need one more syllable. Robert Van Klauser Meltzer.
There you go.
This is bitchin'. This is the most productive show we've had yet. Well, Bixie, one of the things I was going to bring up is last time you were on, we were going to have some sort of a contest.
Yes.
It was going to be a trivia question, if I remember right, and what would the prize be?
A lightly used copy of Pro Wrestling Intellectual, whatever it is, by Joseph Babensack Jr.
Very cool. That is awesome. Well, I do have a trivia question in the back of my mind.
Do you?
I do. I don't know if anybody's been on the Wrestling Observer website.
No, I've never been there.
Neither have I. I'm too cool for it. I would go there right now, but I don't have access to a computer at the moment.
Oh, great.
I'm in the Stone Age. Yeah, armed with nothing but a telephone. But there was mention on the website of a match game appearance somebody made.
Yeah.
Now, has anybody checked out what that was?
Yes, I did.
And who was it?
Linda McMahon. Not Linda McMahon, Linda Hogan.
Yeah.
Linda Hogan. Linda McMahon would have been bitching on Match Game.
Yeah, that would have been better. I was sort of disappointed. For some reason, I didn't realize who it was at first. I'm like, wait, who is it? For some reason, woman with big blue eyes and long blonde hair, first name Linda, involved with wrestling, and I couldn't figure it out.
Oh, was Charles Nelson Riley on the show?
No. I don't know if they had any kind of camp gay fella on the panel for that one.
Oh, he was the king of all of them. Anyway, there was another wrestling personality that appeared on Match Game as a contestant. It was a woman wrestler in 1975. And if anybody could name who that woman wrestler was, they get the copy of Wrestling Intellectual by Joe Bobenfeck.
Sure.
The guy who wrote, the Slam Canoe blog guy.
What?
Yeah, you know the guy who writes Joe...
The Slam guy Bix, man.
Yeah, Joe Van Dam. Joe Dam Van.
Yeah, Joe Bad.
Rob Van Dam, who goes 420, Sparks the Owl along with Lince Combs.
Hey, did Rob Van Dam look stoned to you?
Yeah, I think he did look stoned to me, but I think by his own admission he is throughout the day. I read an interview recently in High Times with him, and he said he is pretty much 24/7 and proud of it.
Jeez, man.
I love the thing in The Observer about how, and there was no joke about it. It was just, Van Dam likes doing a 2 European tours a year because then he can stop over in Amsterdam, which is one of his favorite places in the world.
Where you don't have to hide it in your pocket. You can be straight out there in the coffee shop and just kind of vape it, smoke it, however you want to take it, munch it, eat it, I mean, when they make it legal here, I mean, people are going to be able to relax a lot more.
So I saw something worthy of a Kurt Brown hallucination compilation. 2 things, maybe, when I was in the city last week. So I'm at Penn Station at Papaya Dog ordering a grilled chicken sandwich. And as I'm waiting for my food, who should walk in from the concourse but a gentleman dressed like Thriller Michael Jackson.
Oh!
With his hair done up and also with, painted bangs painted on. And
oh, my God, that... Was he carrying a large hammer with him?
No. What?
Bix hasn't heard that part yet, Kurt.
Yeah. There was a remarkable character at the WrestleReunion convention who carried a very large hammer with him everywhere he went.
Okay. But anyway, and he just sort of danced through the area into to the back and then back and forth and didn't order any food, and eventually he left.
Oh, my Lord, and he wasn't asking for tips or anything like that?
No, he was just listening to his iPod and dancing, and he only had one move, and he didn't even moonwalk, so kind of weird that way. Of course, weird, but kind of it's surprising and kind of lame in terms of Michael Jackson impersonating.
It was the Thriller one, right? It was the Thriller Michael Jackson?
Yeah, with the red jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You gotta do the moonwalk.
So then speaking of
New York is becoming Hollywood. I think I could move there now.
So then speaking of red jackets, as I'm walking towards the subway, who do I see in full gimmick but Guardian Angels founder Curtis Sliwa?
Oh, my Lord, there's a name I have not heard in years.
And I believe this is, I don't know if and this is at least the second time in a year that I have walked by him in full gimmick. And I think my dad said that he's probably just walking home from his radio show because I think he does the show at the Empire State Building. Oh, so he still is out there and visible, huh? Yeah, I think it's still, I haven't heard it in a while. I think it's last I remember, unless he has his own show now, it was Curtis and QB with Ron QB, who's like a mob lawyer and stuff, but oh, I love it. Curtis and QB. I like that. And I realized later that maybe I should have stopped him and asked him how Vampiro's doing.
Is he defending Chapultepec Park? Oh, Lord. Now, Curtis Sliwa, when he's walking down the street, do people stop and go, hey, you're Curtis Sliwa, or...
I don't know. The thing is, I think I would have recognized him anyway, but once you see the jacket and the beret...
Yeah, that's unmistakable.
Then you look at him and, okay, yeah, that's Curtis Sliwa.
I remember the woman he used to be married to, I think her name was Lisa Sliwa?
Yeah, now Lisa Eppers, who's been on Channel 5 News here for many years.
Really? Well, I remember there was talk of her going into WWF when the whole national boom started in the mid-'80s.
Well, she did a little bit.
Oh, I didn't realize she actually got her feet wet in it.
She did, like, one match at a taping, which you can see, which I think the results on historyofwwe.com, and she did some sort of fashion show segment once on Tuesday Night Titans. And that was going to be her gimmick, the model turned wrestler.
Ah.
So let's see, though. Does he still have, what is his radio show now?
Now,
oh, he's on WNYM. Wait, that's a morning show, though, so he wouldn't have been walking home from work, probably.
Now, how's he looking these days?
He looks the same, but older. And
oh, okay. So it's not like a Tom Laughlin who played Billy Jack, who, looks a little emphysemic and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, I guess maybe you wouldn't know then about. Do you know about the circumstances of how New York found out that him and Lisa were separated?
No, I'd never heard this before.
It was like someone tried to. It was in one of his many murder attempts on him. I think it was like let me see. It's probably under personal life on Wikipedia. No, it doesn't say. No, but it was something like someone tried to kill him, and he was like had just left his home, which was not the home where Lisa lived.
Mm-hmm.
It was something like that, and then it came out because of the mob trying to kill him for like the 35th time.
Interesting. Oh, Lord. You can't make these stories up.
But I just don't get, I mean, is he wearing the gimmick so people will recognize him?
I would assume, because if you don't want to be recognized, you wouldn't wear the red beret that brought you fame.
Right, and also, I mean, I don't know what they do nowadays, but does New York really need the Guardian Angels anymore? At least in Midtown.
They need them in Mexico now.
Well, yeah, but does that really
they gotta send them down to Mexico.
Well, they do.
Yeah, that would be interesting to seeing them trying to patrol the more dangerous streets down there.
I know that's why they need them in Mexico more than they do in New York now.
Did you ever see? Do you remember that show Insomniac with David Tell that was on Comedy Central several years ago?
Yeah.
What show's that?
Insomniac with David Tell.
Oh yes.
That was I really missed that show. But do you remember when he went to Japan and met the Japanese Guardian Angels?
I never saw that.
Oh, it was like the best episode they ever did, and like you see the Japanese Guardian Angels like absolutely taking care of a drunken gentleman.
They do beat him up?
I think he just kind of like disarmed him. Well, just not exactly, just literally disarmed, but kind of just like tried to talk him out of it, and then like hammerlocked him and shoved him to the ground.
Chopped them and stuff. They just beat him up.
Yeah.
Karate chop.
I don't know.
No.
Bringing back the mythical karate. Karate.
Where did the idea of the judo chop come from? Since that's not exactly how judo works.
I have no idea, but I remember it being utilized as a gimmick on Channel 13 Wrestling when I was a kid, because Pak Song came from Korea, and he used the dreaded karate chop, which was, a forward thrust with the fingers, and the jobber John Burris would come out and ask, of all people, he'd ask the TV commentator Dick Lane what the difference between a karate and a judo chop is. And Dick Lane informed him that the judo chop is what many misinterpret as a karate chop, with the bottom of the hand. And I, even as a kid, I'm just tripping there saying, wait, how does the elderly TV announcer know more than this athlete about martial arts?
wrestling was kind of ahead of the curve as far as understanding judo, though otherwise, because they did have the judo jacket matches, and they sort of tried to explain the importance of the gi.
This is true. Even going way back to the 20s and 30s, they used that gimmick.
The judo jacket match?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Jim Londos.
Was Jack Brisco ever in one?
Well, he was in Florida, and they probably did a few there.
You never know.
Ito and all those guys.
Speaking of which, shame on us bringing all sorts of things up like Match Game and Curtis Sliwa and Hogan's before bringing up the passing of Jack Brisco.
Yeah.
Did you notice how I just snuck that in?
You did, and God bless you for doing it, because I don't know how long we would have gone, and I say that without without any sarcasm that we should be ashamed.
I don't think we should be ashamed. They die. I mean, wrestlers seem to be dying every single.
This is true. This one caught me by surprise. I mean, I guess he was in really bad health, but I didn't know anything about how bad a health he was in until reading last week's Observer mentioning that he was undergoing triple bypass surgery. But I guess he had emphysema on top of that.
Wow.
And
That's not good.
I mean, I bet you anybody from my generation remembers Jack Brisco in many different ways, and the lucky ones are the ones who, got to see wrestling in Florida, Georgia. They got a real good taste of Jack Brisco. When I started watching wrestling, it was 1972 when he was vying for the NWA Heavyweight Championship. And one of the things I dug about LA wrestling was even if the contenders or the World Heavyweight Champion weren't making regular stops to Los Angeles, they would drop his name every now and then. And I remember Jack Brisco's name, being thrown around on the TV show.
Yeah.
And then on the Channel 34 show, I remember he came in for a TV taping on Wednesday night. Actually, taping isn't quite the right word. It was a live TV event.
That's the Olympic show.
Yes, that's right. And seeing him for the first time, I tripped out because here was this guy who looked like a collegiate athlete, except he had this big, bushy head of hair. And here I was watching LA wrestling, and I really dug the Peace Brothers, who were these two hippie wrestlers, but they were jobbers and they were just okay workers. And so here I am, this 10-year-old kid, seeing this guy who, looks really fit, but has the hair of a hippie, and I thought, how cool is this? And then he starts wrestling, and not knowing anything about what work rate is at that age, I just sat there and saying, oh my God, this guy is so fucking fast. This guy is like lightning quick. And the only person I remember having that same impression of as being just so dynamic was Raul Mata, not saying he was anywhere on the level of Jack Brisco, but was a great worker.
Oh,
but I remember it was
for
one
a second. There is a Raul Mata match on WWE Classics On Demand right now.
Is it against Coco Beware?
No, what?
Seriously, Raul Mata did a 30-second job to Coco Beware
At
on...
this very moment, there's a Raul Mata match?
Well, it's on demand, so they have...
Trip out. Who's he wrestling?
Wait, I think it was... I'm totally forgetting now. I think Gary Young, because they just put up and I've actually never seen any of this stuff before.
Is this from Florida?
No, from Dallas. It was the show that was called Texas Championship Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
It was the Sportatorium show that they did to air in West Texas.
Trip out.
They took over West Texas. But anyway, go ahead.
Because I know Raul Mata was a longtime jobber in Florida where he eventually settled down and sometimes would wrestle under hood as the Texan there, too. And I guess made a lot of the wrestlers' gear, he and his wife. But anyway, back to Brisco. I just remember just being blown away at just how athletic he was. I mean, L.A. was a great wrestling territory, but we didn't have many Jack Briscos. And then they cut an interview with him conducted by Jimmy Lennon. And, he's just talking about, chasing the NWA title, hoping to get it from Dory Funk Jr. And the dude was pure charisma. One of those charismas that I don't know if a contemporary wrestling fan would latch onto. Not that they wouldn't latch onto, but how do I say it?
More of a Bret Hart charisma?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, more of a Bret Hart charisma. One of those charismas, I think there's more people out there who have it, but will never know they have it because TNA or WWE never has the patience to try to, get them out of their slippers and into their running shoes. If something's not working within 3 weeks, they just move them down the road. Anyway, I was actually shocked to hear he had passed away. I guess people closer to the situation probably weren't as surprised, but
isn't his brother also in the hospital?
I think he's out of the hospital, but he had strokes and
yeah.
I think he's doing relatively okay now.
Yeah, it's gotta be like really shocked right now.
Yeah.
Just read.
Yeah,
That's kind of.
But anyway, it's strange watching another, somebody who I remember as being so youthful years ago. I guess it's called midlife denial. It's weird to see people you saw in their prime when you were a kid getting old. Maybe midlife denial isn't the right word. Maybe it's Peter Pan syndrome.
I think we saw a lot of that at the convention. A lot of people who look really old.
Oh, this is true.
Larry Zbyszko and Demolition.
Yeah. Yeah, time catches up with everybody, I guess,
Except for, the women actually didn't look that bad.
Was Baby Doll there?
No.
No Baby Doll. I would have actually liked to have met. I don't know if I would have all out marked out for her, but I would have dug meeting her.
I saw her at a convention a couple of years ago. The one over here that was a disaster, and she was like tank top, tight jeans, and cowboy hat. And if she ever could have rocked that at any point in her life, now was not one of those times. I mean, she was in good shape, but she has aged.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of the gals at Cauliflower Alley, they'd be in their 60s and 70s and still wearing those slinky Vegas suits and stuff.
Oh, when is Cauliflower Alley? April?
April, and I keep forgetting the date. I know I'm going to go.
Yeah, I need to start looking into that, actually.
Yeah, look into that, because that would be a blast if we could all head down there. Cauliflower Alley is really a hoot.
It should be in an alley, so.
That would actually be rather clever.
That would actually be awesome, considering Demolition might go or whatever.
We could live stream it.
Yeah, we should have taken camera. Oh, they said we couldn't take cameras to the convention.
Oh, is there a no camera sign there?
Yeah, no, I heard somebody say that, for something that you couldn't take cameras. You could take cameras, photos. But you could
but no video cameras.
Yeah, no video cameras.
Yeah, I remember there was a disastrous convention in Anaheim in 1988. I actually wish I had gone to it. The only remnant I have of it is I have a photo of Dr. Jerry Graham and Chavo Guerrero signing autographs, and they're both downing cans of Foster's as they're signing the autographs.
That's shocking.
Yeah, I know. But
of all the wrestlers to be drinking beer while working.
I know. I just loved it as they were signing autographs specifically. But
I don't know if that beats seeing Greg Valentine eat plain sauerkraut out of a cup.
What?
Yeah, at a Weekend of Champions, this is when he was dating Medusa, so they're sitting there as they do the autographs together, and he's eating plain sauerkraut out of a cup.
Greg Valentine dated Medusa?
You don't remember?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Man, what was this? Because he was pretty ugly.
This was quite a while ago.
He was the post-Eddie Gilbert love interest, I believe.
Oh.
I'm sorry?
He was the post-Eddie Gilbert love interest for her.
Yes, I remember when they were going out. I can't remember exactly how long ago it was.
That was 93, I think.
Wow.
No, that's even worse. I mean, he was way past his prime by that point.
Well, he even talked about how great he was in a Torch interview. He has a full head of hair. And
Well, last I saw of Medusa, I just happened. God, I can't remember how long ago this was. I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. I was just switching channels and saw her doing her monster truck thing, and I can't remember the stunt she tried to do with the monster truck didn't quite cut it, but she got out of the car and then cut this great promo, and she still looked really stunning. In fact, is there any word? Is she still doing the monster truck?
I think so.
surprised she hasn't done a convention.
I'm actually
Yeah,
rather
you know what?
surprised.
I don't think she shows up at any of them, does she? I don't for a shoot interview or anything.
Yeah, I haven't seen her mentioned in any of them.
I would think she would be in demand.
You would think she would have been in the LA one at least. I mean, LA needed like more like women and like WWF type people. I don't know why they brought in J.J. Dillon. That's a little confusing.
That was an interesting one. I know he was sitting there
He's
with
at every convention. There are a lot of people who are at every convention.
Yeah.
You know, I would have traded this convention just to. I wish I could have been at that one in San Francisco at 2007. I would have paid full price.
I would have been the one egging them to go beat up the guy. I was like, hey, you guys should go do it. We'll look for him. Let's go look for him.
We'd be buying them extra shots of absinthe and Bombay gin.
Just to see the fighter, or have them like look for that promoter or whatever, whoever that guy was.
Yeah, the promoter and his wife, if I remember correctly, they just grabbed what money they could and skipped out on the convention.
Yeah.
To avoid paying anybody. That was, I would have loved to have seen that. I would have loved to have been there just to see the chaos. And I guess some of the fans actually more than got their money's worth, because since a lot of the wrestlers were abandoned by, the cocksucker of a promoter, some of the fans showed some of the wrestlers around San Francisco and,
to try to salvage it if they weren't going to work.
Right, exactly. I remember I think it was April Hunter who was on Brian Alvarez's show who said some fans showed her and Tammy Sitch around San Francisco, and could you imagine, well, yeah, that convention was a ripoff, but yeah, we got to, cruise San Francisco with Sonny and April Hunter.
Well, see, that should have happened at this convention. We could have taken Sonny and Daphne.
We should have sabotaged it ahead of time and found out where they were hanging.
Yeah, we should have told the guys from High Spots to disappear. We could have kidnapped them, man. Come on.
That's right.
The one here on Long Island a few years ago that was a major disaster. I didn't know that, because I went on the second day or last day, whatever, that all the wrestlers and the fans had gone to a nearby well-known Italian restaurant.
Oh my gosh!
And basically, you had all these dozens of people eating, wrestlers and fans eating together.
Huh, that's cool.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, that sounded cool. I mean, the convention was not that good though. I mean, they got a lot of name guys. They had Hall and Nash and Waltman and a lot of people, but they made some very bad mistakes. First of all, they ran it the same day as the New Jersey convention.
Oh no!
With the frequency of the conventions, how do you do it the same day as another one in the area?
Wow.
Now, also, it's worth pointing out that the guy who ran this one was Barry Blaustein's nephew.
Get out.
Barry Larkin's nephew?
Barry Blaustein's nephew.
Oh, Barry.
Jason Blaustein.
Yes.
And it was at this, it's this sort of, recreation, tennis court, whatever, place, indoor center. And just very weird. Just, they didn't know. Oh, there were long lines all day just to get in, to even walk around the main area, which was not that big and did not have much in the way of merchandise people, because they didn't know what the fire safety rules were, and you could only have a few people allowed in at a time. And they didn't know that. So you had the fire marshal letting people in as people went out.
Interesting. Now, who ran the other convention?
I don't know. It was one of the usual people, the wrestling fan fest or whatever people. Like
John Arezzi or one of them?
Well, no, Arezzi hasn't been since the early 90s. But those were the only other conventions I've ever been to. But this one in Long Island was not very good. And what was the other thing? Oh, I remember hearing that because that Scott Epstein, who's involved with some of the conventions, does a lot of agent booking work for some of the wrestlers in their appearances. And I just learned today, went to high school and served in the parks department with my dad. Took the reins and tried to get it more organized.
Wow.
And it worked out for me. I mean, I had to pay admission, but I got some cool stuff from George Mayfield.
That's cool.
Yeah, Mayfield was at the convention. This one over here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he holding up a Japanese newspaper while screaming that you could see pictures of Owen Hart dying?
What?
No, he was just there. I was the only person that knew who it was.
He's a nice guy, though. I mean, but he's kind of an interesting character. No, it was at the ROH show with Liger that I guess I don't know if it was because Liger was there or what, that they actually had Mayfield there, had his own table too, and you see, and he's like selling the newspaper, maybe I think a Japanese one with pictures of Owen Hart in the ring as he was dying.
Oh my God!
Well, in the mask, thankfully, because I don't think there are any ones of him turning blue, but. And you can see the picture of Owen Hart dying. Yeah, it's after he fell.
Oh no! Oh dear!
It's
a fascinating business, isn't it?
And he always has this friend of his that's also selling magazines cheap too. So I got some cool stuff. That's where I got the Matt Watch Farewell issue annual thing.
Oh, the old Steve Beverly newsletter.
Yeah, and it has this awesome section at the end where he basically runs through the entire period he did the newsletter. And stories and, stuff I never knew, which was pretty cool, and then talking about how he had a nervous breakdown.
Yes, I never actually saw that issue, but I remember a lot of people talking about it. Man, back in the day before there was actually an internet, as I recall.
Well, there was an internet, but...
Well,
as we knew it.
Only for the ultimate cool of the PC world, I think. Back in the days when, I can remember when it was just kind of like AOL message boards for pro wrestling, and when it was still kind of an obscure notion. It's weird to think what part of everyday life it is now.
I miss the grandstand as far as the AOL stuff goes, though. The grandstand wrestling.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, the whole...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like everybody posts on the internet. There's so many message boards, you kind of get tired of posting on all of them.
It's like just stream of consciousness on the internet now. There's so much. There's something you can find for everything, for every subject and every sub-subject, no matter how well-known or, how subcultural it is. There's something for everybody in the internet these days.
Oh, Kurt, before we go, we got to bring up Pimpinella.
Pimpinella.
What did he do now?
You know what's going on with him?
No.
He actually he saved the Dr. Wagner's team.
What?
Yeah, so there's a chance he might join that faction in AAA. He might actually be a main eventer.
Whoa! No way.
I think your influence over Conan has finally.
Yes, I was telling him how Pimpinella and Gato Eveready was the greatest gimmick done last year, and where did it go? Pimpinella Escalada should be pushed to the stars.
This news, and with Vampiro now as a possible agent.
Yes, in fact, I've been so out of it all week. You know more about this than I do, Fredo. Explain what the scoop is.
The scoop, well, on the Observer, Dave Meltzer brought up that Vampiro is going to be, I guess he's going to be like the road agent for AAA now.
Oh boy.
Where he's going to teach everybody how to be a professional and how to be respectful in the business.
So can we now call him Vampiro Laurinaitis?
Yeah, pretty much.
Hasn't Vamp said himself that he thinks he's a pretty bad worker?
Has he really?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, at least he taught, at least in the traditional sense, because how he never really learned to bump and all that.
Well, you know, I think he said that he's not good, but I mean, he also said he's good sometimes. So it's like he goes back and forth all the time. So
depends whether he's feeling confident or humble, maybe.
Yeah.
I always give kudos to somebody who's critical of their work.
Yeah, the other thing is Dorian Roldan is going to start taking less. He's going to cut back on the bookings. So I think you know who's going to end up booking the.
It'll be so it looks like Conan will have the book then.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
But there might be some more consistency. I don't even want to say where it will go, which way it will go.
No, wait. But then you forgot the other part. There's a chance that they might do an NWO angle.
Oh, dear.
For like the 5th time or something that they've done.
No.
Why can't they just stage a coup and try to get Panico?
Satanico?
No, Panico.
Oh, Panico. Gotcha. It probably wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, take him away.
You probably wouldn't have to throw that much money his way.
Yeah. They won't cross Paco alone, so I mean, nobody does.
No, when you cross Paco, you cross him for good. You don't get to go back.
Done.
It seems like they've been kind of doing the similar angles over and over again in AAA. So I say give the book to somebody who's just going to do something a little different.
But see, that's the bad thing. I mean, the first thing that gets brought up is the NWO angle is going to start.
No, that's true, and
they're thinking of getting 2 big stars from Mexico.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah,
that's been so done to death. And just to show that I have been watching a little bit of wrestling, I watched the opening segment of Raw.
Oh God!
Now you should have watched the last segment.
Which one?
You should have watched the last segment. That was the good one.
Oh, but I gotta say, it was kind of cool to see Edge and Sheamus square off in something just really simple. I mean, it wasn't this big, organization versus organization. There weren't 100 stipulations thrown about. It's just they're just disrespecting each other, and one punks the other, and then the Edge makes the spear, and it got such a great pop, and it was so simple. I know there was more mic work than I would have liked, of course, you know me.
Yeah.
But when I saw that, I immediately thought back into how complex angles get these days, and why do you want to do an NWO-type angle when you can just have guys kicking each other's butts?
Because there's really not a lot of stars to do another NWO angle when, it's always the same guys, pretty much.
If they got Mistico or someone, then...
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking. When I was thinking about like these 2 huge stars that they're talking about, I'm like, who are they going to get? I mean, there's really nobody that they're going to be able to get that's going to be that shocking. I mean, they could get La Park, but I mean, is that really that shocking nowadays? I mean, it might be. It would have been like when Antonio Peña was still alive, but now it's like we're all expecting that to happen at some point.
Yeah, exactly. It's been an angle that's been done to death. I mean, just been done so many times,
and then who's going to run it? I mean, they have the whole Foreign Legion thing still going on, so it's like...
See, that's the thing. Why have an NWO gimmick when you already have a gimmick of a troupe of people trying to outdo a troupe of another people?
Yeah, I know. That's what I just think. I just think it's going to be so confusing. I guess they're going to have to, the Foreign Legion's going to have to choose sides and everything.
Yeah, well, what about a feud between one wrestler and the other? Now, that's fascinating. That's a novel.
Where does Teddy Hart stand in this whole thing?
Sounds like he's not standing in Mexico for very long if he keeps it up.
Didn't they already have a fake NWO when they had Triple L?
Yeah, they had Triple L and then they had Foreign Legion. Those have been like the two groups that have done like the NWO type of thing. So I don't know.
Now bringing in Mistico would be cool.
Yeah. If
you brought in him as like some foreign invader, bring him as a heel because
Mistico might turn heel this Friday.
Yeah, the one look where he went heel on Volador, the clip I saw on YouTube a few weeks ago, I was shocked. He does the heel thing pretty cool.
Yeah, they said that some of the people in Mexico aren't as excited about it afterwards, like the last 2 weeks. They haven't been as thrilled about it, but I mean, I don't know, like the way
I would love to see them give it a try and see how it plays out because I was surprised what a good Rudo he was.
Yeah, I think there's so much wrestling on TV now where it's like you overanalyze everything, so it doesn't really...
It's so true. I think sometimes people forget how to feel. Just watch something and does it get your nuts off or does it not get your nuts off? Is it bitchin' or is it not bitchin'?
Sure. Who do you got, Jalisco or DF? Distrito Federal.
Jalisco.
Bix, who do you got?
For what?
For that whole Mexico tournament.
Oh, I haven't been following this.
Oh, you haven't been? Come on.
Oh, wait. Oh, the one where they're doing the guys from different areas teaming together? Wait, wasn't it teams, though?
It's Jalisco and Mexico City.
Oh, and who was on the 2 teams? I forgot.
Jalisco, I think, is, let me see. Here, I wrote it down. Oh, I don't know.
Jalisco
is Atlantis and Máscara Dorada.
And who's
And
Mexico
City is La Máscara and Negro Casas.
I would
So
think that Mexico City would win.
Yeah, Mexico City's going to win. I'd be shocked if they lost.
Oh, especially also since they made it to the finals and it's in Mexico City.
And it's Negro Casas.
Well, yeah.
So you pretty much know Negro Casas is somehow going to win it.
This is true. This is true.
With Mistico turning heel, though, to me that almost feels like the sort of Mario Milano turning heel in Australia bad idea type thing.
That might be the big surprise. I don't know.
Mario Milano is going to come out of retirement after retiring just the last month or so.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, certain somebody said that there's going to be major news coming out of Friday. So
that's right, but
that
certain somebody has not called in tonight, so we're going to have to shame him greatly.
Well, you know what it is. He's got to do a show tomorrow. He's going to break the story tomorrow morning on.
Oh, I got you. So we will have to shame him even further.
Yeah, he's ditching
Dr. Lucha, we are going to have to add stipulations to our upcoming match, wherever it might be.
He has not joined us lately.
Yeah.
I know, he's turning heel on us.
I think we're going to have to pick some even worse music for him to listen to.
Oh, yes, we're going to have to outdo his terrible playlist that he's planning to launch upon my soul.
Oh, I heard the perfect thing today.
Kurt, and I know the perfect song.
What's that?
RVD, the whole fucking show.
If he loses, if I defeat Physico, then Dr. Lucha will be forced to be straitjacketed, and he'll have to listen to RVD the whole fucking show.
I think I found something even worse.
What's that?
Well,
I don't know.
I was at a pharmacy earlier, and I was looking. I saw this weird, like, grandpa plush doll, and it had, like, press to hear him sing or whatever. It's him singing a special version of Don't Ya by the Pussycat Dolls. Like, don't you wish your grandpa was hot like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was your grandpa was a freak like me? As he dances.
Oh, Lord, so you buy that to put next to your big mouth Billy Bass in your living room near the casino in Reno, Nevada?
And your dancing rabbi and all that, yeah.
Oh, ouch.
I think we got two songs to end the playlist for Dr. Lucha.
Okay, so Dr. Lucha, we know you're listening out there. We have faith that you'll be here to join us next week.
Oh, and email me the answer to the trivia question, by the way. I'm curious to hear it.
I certainly will, and I actually remembered when it aired. And for those of you who want me to repeat it, what woman wrestler appeared as a contestant on Match Game in 1975?
They can email the answer where?
Well, why don't you have them post in the comments on the Stan the Ebrio post, I guess.
Yeah,
that seems to make more sense.
Or if you want to email me, my email address is Liger, that's Lyger, at AOL.com, and I check my email almost obsessively. So send in those answers.
I remember a time where that was not true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I remember once there was actually a time where I emailed before we really talked as regularly, but I remember there was this time I emailed you about something, maybe at Fredo's behest, and it was literally about a year later that I got the email from you, the reply.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Oh, that was a long time ago. I think I remember that.
I have to start doing drugs so I can get my focus back.
Yeah, because I remember emailing you like when Bob Barnett told me to email you. And and you never answered back. I met you, I think, at that point.
Sobriety leaves me dazed and unfocused. Maybe I should try drug abuse. Maybe that would help sharpen my senses. Maybe if I do the opposite of what they say you're supposed to do.
Well, like the podcast. Before the podcast, we only talked like once every 3 months.
This is true.
Yeah, before the podcast, we never talked.
Oh.
Now we talk like almost weekly.
Yeah, I know. It's so true. See, this
like
has revitalized me.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's
well, and on that note, it's time to wrap it up. And, I think to wrap up this show, instead of the use, I heard a quote off a recent episode of Intoxica Radio podcast that played a very old clip of a gentleman giving advice to would-be DJs back in the 1950s. So I'll close this show with one of those pieces of advice that this DJ guru puts forth, and that is...
See a bright light.
What's that?
If you see a bright light in the sky...
It is not a shooting star. It is a heavenly handful of Monsell's powder. And he further said, you know, when you stop and think about a teenager, don't sell them short, because they know what's happening, and they dig what's happening too. So hold tight to your Monsell's powder and your dreams, everybody. See you all next week. Take care now.
Ciao.